All right, happy first day of December. I actually didn't realize that until I just looked at the calendar that today's December 1st. I better realize that soon since tomorrow is my mother's birthday. Note to self, fly present to mom. Anyway, hopefully she's not listening. How's everyone doing today? Hey, John, good to see you. Hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Markets have definitely been sporadic at best, right? It's last Friday with low volume because of holiday, right? The new COVID variant came out and freaked the markets out, which I don't know why, because it's going to be like that for a long time. But then the next day it came back up, and then it back down, and then back up. So, one of the questions obviously I always get is, what are things going to happen at this point? And I always go back to this, you can never predict when things like that happen. But if you have stops in place, if you have a trading system, right, then you're going to be fine. But more importantly, when you look at something like the S&P here on my charts, okay, when we got the sell trigger on the Laguerre here, again, I didn't take it because we're a bullish market right now. So I don't like to take the sell signals, okay? But now the rules are really easy, right? If I'm going to get in long here, where am I going to get in? Well, when that Laguerre line starts heading back up, you can see the cloud is still green. Granted, it's getting very, very narrow. And once Hackenacci turns green, right, I can go long. My stock can be below this wick. So it's not hard, right? I don't have to sit there and think about what I'm going to do. The rules are simple. And you can see here from a seasonal perspective, right, on the S&P, we typically go higher until February. So again, it doesn't mean every day, it doesn't mean every week, but generally speaking, I'm much more bullish than bearish on the overall market, okay? And then you can individualize that with different stocks and so forth, right? I did think from 2 weeks ago when we talked that we would be higher. And again, with the announcement of that South African strand, the market here on Friday came down significantly. And now it's just kind of holding right there. So that's powerful, okay? That's powerful. This is going to give us a great entry long. Absolutely. That's one thing I can promise you, that the markets will reverse. We just don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, if it's going to be next week, right? But this is where Hackenacci with that Laguerre can tell us. If this keeps coming down, I'm not stepping in front of that, okay? If it does keep coming down, by the way, it's just going to give us an incredible opportunity to hit new highs before the end of the year. So that's why I'm thinking about it. Okay, let's look at the Nasdaq. I'll bring up the Qs. So obviously the Nasdaq's been much stronger. If you look, Apple has been doing fantastic, right? But again, we're not higher than what we were 2 weeks ago, but the plan's pretty good, right? The cloud stayed green. Now I'm just waiting for that Laguerre to start turning back up before I take an entry. And my stop would be below this wick. How does that play a part in anything? Well, also you can look at the diamonds, which have been weaker. We had that flat top back here on the 26th. And then it's continued down. And again, the reason I have these every 2 weeks for everybody is just kind of show you how I look at things. You can't predict this was going to happen, but now that on the diamonds it has, right? You should have had, if you were long the diamonds, you should have had a stop loss and be out of the trade. Absolutely, right? But more importantly, or if you weren't in this, now it's going to give us a great opportunity to go long. But right now the cloud is thickening, it's widening. Hackenacci's still red. What I really want to teach people is how to get into a trade. You be patient. There's no reason to say, hey, this might be the bottom, let me go long. Well, it may be the bottom right here, but right now we don't have indications that it is, right? The Laguerre hasn't headed up. We don't have a green Hackenacci. So that's the real purpose of these sessions, is to show you how I look at things. And that way, you can integrate with your own information and hopefully, make more money than you're going to lose. Again, I don't take short triggers right now. I didn't take this Laguerre short trigger. If you did, right, your stop was at the high and you made a lot of money. But again, that's not how I trade, because seasonality says big picture, we're going higher, and I believe it. I believe that we're probably are close to the bottom, but until we get indications we're going higher, I can do a diamond straight up to these highs between now and certainly by the end of January, okay? And so that's how I look at things. You can't make money all the time in every direction. So I don't look to do that. What I look to do is make money in the direction that's got the highest probability. I hope that makes sense. I know a lot of traders will take every daily trigger on the Laguerre. So back here was a trigger, right here would have been a trigger, which was a false signal. But even here, if you got in here and you put your stop right above the recent high at the time, you didn't lose much. And then there's a short trigger. All right, so again, hopefully that makes sense. Now, the next roller coaster ride, crude oil. Isn't that crazy move, right? That was a crazy move on crude. Let me blow this up for you. Again, the cloud turned red with a flat top here on November 17th. So at that point, I wasn't looking for long plays again until I got new triggers, and it hasn't happened yet. Again, and that's the beauty. Look how wide now the cloud's getting with another flat top today, yesterday, the day before, and it's just continuing down, right? Remember, the white line is the open, the red is the close. So again, really what I'm just trying to teach everybody is if you were long and you got out of this trade at some point, or if you, right, let's say you were long and you got out when the cloud turned red, the real question always is with traders, when do I get back in? And the rules are simple. When you have a Laguerre trigger long with a green Hackenacci dot, you're going to give yourself a much better odds of making money. We are getting divergence here, okay? Potential bullish divergence. So if this closes like this, this could be the bottom, but I'm still not going long with a flat top here. I'm waiting for my indicators to tell me now is the time. Okay, so very simple analysis. What's difficult is finding the tools that are accurate, right? We have those tools. All right, gold. So remember, we made money on gold back here. I did in the futures contract. You can bring up GLD as well. And what I mentioned, I think a couple of weeks ago, is that now I'm going to look to do a GLD trade or a nugget trade, which is NUGT long. Okay, I'm going to bring up GLD though. I'm looking for a long play, but what I've just told you is we know it's not ready yet, right? The Laguerre's flatline, it could stay flatline for a long time. We want it to cross over the green with a green Hackenacci. If the cloud is still red, we want it to be narrowing, like it did here where it narrows. But ideally, green cloud, green dot, Laguerre triggering, very simple, and we'll hit new recent highs on gold when that happens. You can see here, gold typically is getting ready to go. So I love the fact on a couple things with gold. Remember, I went in early, made some money, now I'm out, but look at this support here. Look at that. So if it stays here, we're getting ready for a really nice long gold play, right? Let's see if it sticks. If it doesn't, keeps going down, we got our rules in place. And that's the main teachings for today is when things don't go as expected, have a plan though. Have a plan, and we'll take a look at some of the snap and so forth. Yeah, so one question is like on the SPY. Good question. So let me go, before I go on my next topic, let me talk about the SPY. So if you were in this trade, the question, again, it's a fantastic question because most traders fail because they don't know how to manage trades, right? So if you were long at some point here, okay, depending on when you were long, let's say you got back in right here when the Laguerre curved back up with the green Hackenacci. So let's say this is where you got in, okay? Well, first of all, what you should do is when you're up and you're making money, have a stop at the break even once you're up, let's say 30, 40%. Don't turn that into a loser. That's how I would play that. But let's say you didn't put a stop and you just want to hold it. And then, I mean, you have to have a certain exit plan, absolutely. So when the Laguerre starts turning and you got a red Hackenacci, that should be your exit point, because yes, it can turn right back around and in another week, you made money, potentially. But what if it keeps going down and down and down and down to this 425? We don't know at this point, right? So I would rather get out of a trade if you didn't make any money and you got stopped out, lick your wounds. But now right? Your losses are going to be smaller than the potential wins, because look at this trade. When the Hackenacci turned green cloud, if you got in here, let's just call it 446, you didn't get a red dot until right here at 463. So you can see your wins in many cases are going to be much larger than your smaller losses. That's how you build an account. So to answer your question directly, Indra, you want to have a plan as soon as you get in. If you don't want to just sit there and say, well, I think today might be the day it goes back up. And it may, but you really want to have a plan. When I look at stuff like, let me show you a trade on Tesla, okay? So again, during this move up, there was no reason to exit, and then you got your trigger exit right here. The Laguerre triggered red, then you get in. You either got out on the first red candle, or you certainly got out on the red dot. Okay, however you played that, but you made a great money on this trade. So then, if you went back in on the next Laguerre trigger long on the 18th, Laguerre dot green cloud. Okay, that's a perfect entry. Perfect entry. So even during this COVID scare, you're actually still higher than what you were when it opened up. But look at this flat bottom, almost a flat bottom. So Tesla, in my opinion, will probably hit new highs here in the next week. But here's my point. If you got in here, you need to have a plan as soon as you got in. Where would my stop loss be? And again, I like to do end of day stops, meaning I just check my account at the end of the day. You can put stop losses in if you want, but right here, if price were to go below here, and I'm not in this right now, I'm just showing you to demonstrate, okay? This would be my exit point right here. Because yes, this could come down and then a month from now go back up and hit new highs, and you say, well, I shouldn't have got out. But remember, if you got in right here, let's say you got in here, this is your loss potential. Where do you think Tesla's going? 1,400, 1,500 at some point here in the near future? Risk versus potential reward. But now once you're in here, you would stay in here until you get a red dot. And we'll play this out. We'll see in a couple of weeks. Remind me to look at this in a couple of weeks, all right? But you have to have a plan as soon as you get into the trade. That's my point. Hopefully that makes sense. Because if you're going to just try to think and wonder, is it time now? Is it time now? You're not going to keep your account. You're going to lose your money. So there's nothing wrong with having a loss. We all have losers. The key is when you have winners, have a system where you can maximize that, okay? Let me just show you something real quick. This is TradeStation. Let's say you were long mRNA. Okay, and I'm just bringing this up because this is the longest standing Hackenacci, up 11 days. And today it's coming down. If tomorrow, if it goes back up, it'll go back to another yellow enemy. But my point is on this, going into this trade, you don't know if it's going to be a 3-day trade, a 5-day, a 6-day, a 20-day, a 30-day, right? That's what a system will tell you, though, is once you're in a trade like that, there's no reason to exit that. What if you're looking for a short play? Look at some of these shorts that have happened. Look at EXEL, it's been down, or actually CTXS has been down 26 days. So if you happen to short this, in the direction of the trend here, I've had traders, I used to be like this, say, back here, I made enough money. I'm happy. I'm getting out. Well, why? As long as Hackenacci's stay in red for you, why are you exiting the trade? Red dots mean stay short. What was that? Let me bring that back up. Wasn't that CTXS? Oh, okay. So does that make sense? So again, I didn't short this, but I'm just trying to prove a point that if you were in a short play here, the Laguerre triggered red dot, put your stop immediately, whether it's end of day or a hard stop, however you want to do that. That would have been your stop. Okay, right there. And then as long as it stays red, see these red dots? There's no reason to exit the trade. That's how you build wealth. You don't know going into it. It could be, again, a 2-day trade, a 4-day trade, a 20-day trade. When is this actually going to hit a low for good before it bounces? We don't know. But we know we should stay in this trade. I mean, I had a trade like that with Home Depot. Back here, we got a trigger on October. And look how long it kept me into that trade. Then it let me get back in right here on Home Depot. So have a plan. And when it comes to risk reward, that's very important for you. So if you would have took this trade, again, the beautiful thing here is here's your stop loss. And that was actually a pretty tight stop loss, so you could have widened it. But again, just to kind of show you how I look at things, you get in right around here, your stop's here. So if you're wrong, at least initially wrong, very little risk for the huge opportunity, potential opportunity. That's what you should be looking for. Getting into a trade that has relatively low risk, but look at the seasonal, right? So back here where this white line is once we got into October, Home Depot typically skyrockets and it's continuing higher now. That's what I look for. Okay. All right, NVIDIA. You can see here on NVIDIA, we had earnings, came up, hit new highs. Now it's just kind of consolidating. So we're just looking for retracements. Just looking for retracements there. When you have the big, strong uptrends, you look for retracements and back in the direction of that movement. The dollar index. Had a trigger short here. Seasonality basis says, hey, right around mid-December, I'm not looking at taking a short against a nice trend like this. So what I'd be looking for more than anything is to go long again when that Laguerre turns around with the rules that I just explained. Okay, very important. Bitcoin. Bitcoin's shaping up to be a nice opportunity, isn't it? We hit new highs up here. Laguerre triggered short. But now look, Laguerre's getting close. We got green dots. The cloud, though, I like to see it thin a little bit more and break through here. If this continues higher and the Laguerre pokes through, my stop will be right below this wick. Okay, right below this wick. If that happens, you're out of the trade. Look at the opportunity, the reward, the risk versus the reward. One of the things stocks I'm looking at, Berkshire Hathaway. See a great seasonal play coming into effect here. What I love about Berkshire, again, it's basically kind of holding here. So we'll wait and see in the near future, but keep that eye on that in your charts. I love it to the long play. Same with Broadcom. Why I like this one better is because it stayed in its uptrend, right? The cloud stayed green. The Laguerre started a trigger. You do have to be careful with earnings though, right? And what I mean by that is I was up 25% or so on Agilent. I stayed in during earnings, and then I ended up closing out with a loss. That can happen, right? And that's my point. And I said in my Sunday video, people that subscribe, that if you want to be conservative, take profits, or at least partial profits. But the reason I stayed in, seasonality usually plays a role because the indicator is based off of the past. And so it usually plays a good predictor of what's going to happen because earnings is within that window. In this case, though, earnings, it was estimated 117. It actually beat earnings. My guess is that something happened with the forecast coming up. But regardless, it doesn't matter. My point is you have to know when earnings is coming up, and you can either look for larger profits, take profits beforehand, and so forth. I will look to re-enter this, though, because it's kind of holding here with a great seasonal. So I'd rather take a smaller loss and then look to see if I can get a larger win here in the near future. Yeah, Apple's been super strong. Even when the market goes down, Apple's been going up, right? I mean, that's just an incredible stock. Very, very bullish. If you're not in it, though, I'm not in it right now. I need a pullback. I need a pullback. The other nice thing about Apple is, again, flat bottom again today, flat bottom. Look at all these flat bottoms. So even when markets retraced on Friday, Apple just did a little bit and wham, right back up. So you can go in off a smaller time frame. I'm looking for a bigger retracement because we got plenty of time to make more money on Apple. But yeah, it's been a very, very good stock. It is extended, Patterson. We have divergence coming too. See the white line? If you took profits today, my only hesitation would be on taking full profits is that you got a flat bottom, strong Hackenacci, Laguerre curving back up. This is probably going higher. Now it may settle in and go sideways for a while, but I think you'll continue to hit new highs on Apple. Okay, so let's see here. Domino's is coming up, right? It's one of my favorite trades every year. Go watch my videos. It triggered early this year. I didn't take this, but look it always will give you opportunities. So when that Laguerre comes back up, green Hackenacci, here in the near future, it's going to be all about Domino's. All about Domino's. And I can't stand their pizza, but I make money on them every year. Yeah, you could do leaps on Apple. I mean, that's a longer term play, right? So if you're going to do leaps, just go out as far as you can usually and look right around at the money where there's open interest and you're good. I mean, Apple, any of the ones that pay dividends that are solid money making stocks, you could buy leaps. I've done it on a couple. Mara, I got in way down here for 2023 expiration. What I do is I start out and I'll add into the position. I'll also take some off and continue to add back in. But the reason I'm bringing up Mara, look at this beautiful trigger on Mara with that seasonal. That's probably my next public trade is Mara. I'm just kind of keep an eye on it. The only problem with the Bitcoin crypto, I call them stocks, is they can be very volatile, but you could also do really well on them. But again, here would be the plan, folks. If you got into this, so let's say you got in right now, you can have your stop right here. Again, I use an end of day stop. And what that means is, so if you're only trading options, I usually stay in the option trade until the actual price hits that. Okay, that's how I do it. But again, it's however you want to do it. And then look at the opportunity, right? Opportunity versus risk. That's a no-brainer, in my opinion. This is a 5-year seasonal pattern. It typically goes higher till January. So I like Mira a lot. That's how I'm looking at it as a strategic plan. All right, so let's take a look. So we had, let me run a scan here. I'm looking for divergence because we've had some pretty good movement. So when we have good movement, I like to look to see if there's any divergence that might be worth being close to a top or a bottom. And this is a bullish or bearish divergence. It's just running here. It's been very slow today. I don't know why, but we'll see when it comes up, and we'll take a look at some potential divergence opportunities. Again, I like to look at divergence daily. If I don't, though, I definitely want to look at it when there's been some pretty good market moves to see if I can catch something going back with the overall trend or a good risk reward only trade. So we'll come back to this once it's going. We'll try in a minute. The other thing I wanted to show you today, I won't be that long today, is so when I showed you TradeStation here, okay, this is TradeStation with Hackenacci candles. And what I do is I had a program that shows you how many days a stock's been up or down in regards to Hackenacci. So what I like about it is it can tell you real quickly, what are the most bullish stocks right now. Up 11 was, then there's up 7 days home. So let me show you home and home group. You got VG. But what I do is for opportunities, actually placing trades, these up twos. It means you've got a brand new green dot. So you see these up twos here. These are it right here. I'm showing you in pink now. Look at all these up twos. I got 1,000 stocks on this radar screen. So these are all stocks that if I'm looking for a new green dot Hackenacci, these are things that we can look at. Okay, Salesforce was one, CX. You can just quickly go through these to see, are there any that I really like? Let me see if I can find one here for you. So here's a retracement trade going back up. There's the Mira, right? That's what I caught today. I'm like, oh yeah, this is something I really like for a lot of reasons. Micron's been a good knee. He's been all good. Riot's another one, the blockchain. But you can go through these all pretty quickly and decide. Here's one. So let's look at VET. So here's what I like about VET. First and foremost, we've been in an overall uptrend. Yes, the cloud did turn red over the last couple of weeks, but it's thinning now. It's narrowing, and you've got green Hackenacci with green dots, flat bottoms. So what I like about this opportunity is this. You entered here just as an idea, and you exited if it as a stop, could be right here. Look at the room up to highs, good risk. Right here's a risk, here's a reward. Now, seasonality wise, it typically tops right around January. So this is a move that will probably head higher on VET until the end of the year. So you could try to ride it up to highs there. But very simple, right? We just look for a new entry with the Hackenacci and the Gld triggering. Good opportunity for you. Well, let's see if that scan came up yet. Is it still doing that? Let me try again. Silly think or swim. See, it's thinking about it here. Usually this takes a couple seconds. I don't know why it's taking so long. Let me look at another scan I was going to show you too. So the other one I was going to show you, see if this one runs right now, is the cloud scan. I'm going to go to weekly expiration stocks. It scans. Well, that was faster. I don't know why the other one. But anyway, so now let's take a look at these. So I'm going to save this as a watch list just so that I can show them all quickly. So I'm going to save the scan and call it. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one. Save as watch list. I'm going to call it 12-1 cloud. And I'm going to go find it over here. You know, I always have issues with this. Let's see if I have any luck today. There we are. 12-1 cloud. So again, these are the ones that the cloud changed colors. So let's take a look at. So I'm not interested in this. It went back to green, but we're right at highs. I don't want to get into that right now. This just turned to red. Cloud just turned to red barely. I'm not looking to short that though, so I'm going to ignore that red cloud right now. Ideally, right, if it turns back to green, that would be a better play. CSIQ, it's turned back to red. Not interested in shorting that right now. I'm just looking at the seasonal as well. Deer, same thing. This is an ugly chart lately on deer though. With these back and forth, just stay out. 5 just turned red. We typically bottom right around mid-December. Japanese yen currency went back to green, but that's really going against the seasonal. GameStop, net, no seasonal data. NEO, which by the way, folks, usually trades a lot like Tesla. Back and forth, not interested. So I'm not liking any of these right now, so far anyway. Let me see if I can find one. What I'm really looking for is more cloud changing back to green. So once the market turns around, we'll get more of those, right? But anyway, I just did a quick cloud scan. I don't see anything that I like for you. I was just looking for an opportunity for you, possibly. Let me try one more time now. If I can get that divergence to load. All right, let's see, scan. Sometimes you just got to reset it. There we go. All right, so let's take a look at these. So we already looked at Apple's divergence. Certainly we don't want to take a short play on divergence for Apple. But here's what I'm looking at, folks. This is a perfect example. So this is Boeing. You see how we're getting potential divergence here. Why do I like this? Could it be a bottom soon? Yes. Look at the seasonal coming on Boeing. We're just waiting for the gear with the Hakanachi. So this is a perfect example of what I'm looking for. Usually divergence means you're close to a bottom. Okay, so we're close to a bottom here. So more than likely, when this turns green on Hakanachi and the gear pops up, that was the bottom on Boeing. So keep an eye on that, folks. I won't go through all these, but I just want to show you some. Let me see if Futu. Same thing on Futu. I'm not touching that downtrend though. Let's see. So here's another one. Illumina. Yes, it's been a downtrend. So these are more risky, but we've got a obvious seasonal play coming and we're getting divergence. So when the rules are met with divergence, that could be your bottom. So just keep an eye on that one as well. PayPal, same thing. PayPal's been really weak. Typically it's stronger. So we're getting some divergent moves there. Let's see if I can find any other ones I like here. Obviously, divergence is very, very useful when it's going back in the direction of that seasonal. And that's why I look at divergence all the time. Okay. Facebook, very interesting enough, right around mid-December, it typically has a new move coming, and it's been really just consolidating back and forth here. But you can even make money on this in the near future when it comes back through, maybe tests this 310, then comes back up with that Laguerre Hackenacci green. You can go back from maybe 320 back up to 350, 360. Yeah, let's take a look at Disney. Yeah, so again, Disney here had its earnings and Wall Street didn't like it. But again, would you be going long here? No, right? There's no reason to go long. Now you're just waiting at this point. When you have a massive move down like that, what I prefer to do, folks, is wait for the second trigger. So if we were to get a trigger long, don't take it. And then if it goes up and then comes back and you have a higher low in the near future, that could be your entry. I usually wait for the second trigger on something that's been pretty bearish. So again, my overall thoughts over the next couple of weeks, I'm sitting on my hands right now because I'm not sure. You know, look at this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's really hard to make money. And so sit on your hands, because what it will give you very soon is some really good entries. So there's no reason to place trades just to be active in the market, because most of those will not make you money. So hold off, wait for your triggers. We'll get them. All right, folks. Well, I will touch base with you in a couple weeks. If you have any questions, send me an email. Yeah, we talked about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, again, I love the entry potentially here. Not quite a trigger yet, so be patient. I want to see a breakthrough these 4 wicks. I want to see that cloud thin just a little bit, but we're getting very, very close on a long plan Bitcoin. All right, folks, have a great couple weeks. We'll talk soon and best of luck. Take care now.